5 signs you're dealing with a malignant narcissist psychology revealed. Let's start with a question that cuts to the core of our relationships. How do you know when someone's behavior isn't just difficult or selfish, but something far more dangerous? We all encounter challenging people, those who frustrate us, test our patience, or even hurt us. But there's a particular type of person whose impact goes deeper, someone whose actions leave you doubting yourself, your worth, and even your sense of reality. I'm talking about the malignant narcissist. The term malignant narcissist carries weight. It's not just about arrogance or self-absorption, it's a blend of narcissism, manipulation, and cruelty. A malignant narcissist doesn't just want admiration, they want control, power, and dominance, often at the expense of others. But how do you recognize this behavior? How do you know if you're dealing with someone whose presence is eroding your sense of self and distorting your ability to see the world clearly? Let's explore 5 signs that reveal you might be dealing with a malignant narcissist. The first sign is their relentless need for control, often masked as charm or helpfulness. At first, they might seem like they're simply taking charge or offering guidance, but look closer. Their behavior isn't about collaboration or mutual benefit, it's about dominance. They crave power over others, and they'll use any means to get it. Sometimes it's subtle, like constantly correcting your decisions or pushing their perspective as the only valid one. Other times, it's overt, like making decisions on your behalf without consulting you. Ask yourself, have you ever felt like someone was pulling invisible strings in your life, strings you didn't even realize were there until it was too late? What makes this control so insidious is how it's justified. A malignant narcissist will often frame their actions as being for your own good. They'll say things like, "I'm just trying to help," or "you'd be lost without me," planting seeds of doubt in your mind about your own capabilities. Over time, you might find yourself questioning your ability to make decisions, to think independently, or even to trust your instincts. And that's exactly what they want, to erode your confidence so you become more dependent on them. The second sign is their weaponization of empathy, or rather, their lack of it. Empathy is what connects us as human beings. It's what allows us to understand and share the feelings of others. But a malignant narcissist doesn't experience empathy in the way most people do. Instead of feeling with you, they observe you. They study your emotions, not to connect with them, but to exploit them. Think about that for a moment. Imagine someone not as a participant in your emotional world, but as a spectator, watching, calculating, and waiting for the right moment to use your vulnerabilities against you. This lack of empathy is often disguised by surface-level gestures of kindness or concern. They might offer a shoulder to cry on or say the right comforting words, but there's always an undercurrent of self-interest. Their help often comes with strings attached, and their understanding of your pain serves only to deepen their control. Have you ever been in a situation where someone seemed to care, but their actions left you feeling more vulnerable, not less? That's the malignant narcissist at work, turning your emotions into their tools.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
Now let's talk about the third sign, their need to distort reality. This is where gaslighting comes into play, a term you've probably heard before. Gaslighting is a psychological tactic where someone manipulates you into questioning your perception of reality. A malignant narcissist will deny things they've said or done, twist your words, or even fabricate events to make you doubt yourself. Over time, this creates a sense of confusion and self-distrust. You start wondering, am I overreacting? Did I imagine that? Could I really be the problem? Gaslighting isn't just about lying, it's about control. By destabilizing your sense of reality, they make it harder for you to stand up to them. You become more reliant on their version of events, their narrative, their truth. And that's exactly what they want. But here's the philosophical question I want you to consider when someone distorts reality for their benefit. Are they not playing God in your life? Are they not attempting to rewrite the very fabric of your experience to make you live in a world of their creation? What does that say about the nature of their ego and about the cost of staying in their orbit? The fourth sign is their insatiable need for validation, a hunger that can never be satisfied. On the surface, this might look like typical narcissism, boasting about achievements, demanding praise, or fishing for compliments. But with a malignant narcissist, this need for validation takes a darker turn. They don't just want admiration, they want submission. They want you to validate their superiority, to recognize them as the center of the universe. And if you don't, they'll punish you, often in subtle but deeply damaging ways. This punishment might come in the form of silent treatment, passive-aggressive comments, or outright rage. Whatever the method, the goal is the same: to remind you of your place beneath them. To a malignant narcissist, relationships aren't about mutual respect, they're about hierarchy. And in their world, there's only room for one person at the top. Finally, the fifth sign is their inability to take accountability. Have you ever met someone who could twist any situation to make themselves the victim? Someone who could hurt you deeply, but somehow make you feel like you were the one to blame? That's the malignant narcissist's refusal to take responsibility. In their eyes, they are never wrong. And if something goes wrong, it's always someone else's fault, usually yours. This lack of accountability is what makes true resolution with a malignant narcissist impossible. They don't seek understanding, compromise, or growth. They seek to win. And in their pursuit of victory, they'll rewrite history, deny their actions, and project their faults onto others. It's exhausting, isn't it? To constantly bear the weight of someone else's mistakes, to always be the scapegoat for their shortcomings. So, here's the ultimate question I'll leave you with for now. If someone refuses to take accountability, can they ever truly change? And if they can't change, what does that mean for the people who stay in their lives? The mask of perfection: how malignant narcissists keep you trapped. Let's dig deeper into the most dangerous weapon in a malignant narcissist's arsenal: their mask. If you've ever dealt with someone who fits this profile, you might have noticed something peculiar on the surface. They can seem charming, competent, even perfect. This is the mask they wear, the persona they project to the world. It's carefully crafted to disarm you, to make you trust them, to make you doubt your instincts. The mask is the reason so many people fall into their orbit and stay there, often long after the damage has begun. But what happens when you peek behind the mask? What do you find? A malignant narcissist's mask isn't just a facade, it's a survival strategy. They've built their identity around an illusion of perfection because deep down they fear being exposed. Beneath the mask lies insecurity, shame, and a fragile ego that can't handle criticism or vulnerability. But here's the twist: they will never let you see this side of them, at least not intentionally. Instead, they'll project their insecurities onto you. If they feel inadequate, they'll make you feel inadequate. If they fear rejection, they'll manipulate you into fearing their rejection. Their mask is a shield, but it's also a weapon, one they wield with precision. Have you ever met someone who seemed too good to be true? Someone who always knew the right thing to say, who seemed effortlessly confident, who made you feel like you were lucky just to be in their presence? That's the power of the mask. It's designed to draw you in, to make you ignore the red flags, to make you question your own perceptions. And it works until it doesn't. Eventually, cracks begin to appear. A cruel remark slips out during an argument. a manipulative tactic becomes obvious in hindsight. You start to see glimpses of the person behind the mask, and those glimpses can be terrifying. But here's the philosophical question we need to ask: why do we fall for the mask in the first place? Is it because we want to believe in the illusion of perfection? Is it because we're drawn to people who seem confident and self-assured? Or is it because, on some level, we see in their mask a reflection of our own desires and insecurities? What does their mask say about us, and what does it reveal about the nature of human relationships? The mask also serves another purpose: it isolates you. When a malignant narcissist projects an image of perfection to the outside world, they make it harder for you to seek help or validation. If you try to tell others about their behavior, you might hear things like, "Really? I can't imagine them acting like that," or "They've always been so nice to me." This creates a sense of isolation where you start to doubt your own experiences. Maybe it's just you. Maybe you're the problem. And that's exactly what the narcissist wants. This isolation is a trap, one designed to keep you dependent on them. You might feel like you can't leave the relationship because no one else will believe you, or because you're worried about what others will think. The mask makes it seem like you're the one who's unstable, unreasonable, or ungrateful. But let me ask you this: if someone's kindness only exists when others are watching, is it kindness at all? Or is it just another performance, another layer of the mask? The mask is also what makes healing from a relationship with a malignant narcissist so difficult. Even after you've seen the cracks, even after you've experienced the manipulation, part of you might still long for the person they pretended to be. This is what psychologists call cognitive dissonance, the tension between the reality of who they are and the illusion of who you thought they were. It's like mourning a person who never really existed, and that can be one of the hardest parts of breaking free. So how do you escape the trap of the mask? The first step is to trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't let the mask blind you to the red flags. Pay attention to patterns, not just isolated incidents. A malignant narcissist might be able to fake kindness or charm in the short term, but over time, their true nature will reveal itself. The question is, will you be ready to see it when it does? The second step is to surround yourself with people who can validate your experiences. Isolation is one of the narcissist's most powerful tools, but connection is your antidote. Talk to friends, family, or a therapist, anyone who can help you see the situation clearly. Remember, the mask isn't just for you, it's for everyone. Breaking free starts with finding people who can help you see beyond the illusion. Finally, you need to ask yourself a difficult but necessary question: why are you staying? Is it because you believe they'll change? Because you're afraid of being alone? Or because the illusion of their mask still holds power over you? Whatever the answer, facing it is the key to reclaiming your life. The mask of the malignant narcissist is a masterpiece of deception, but it's not unbreakable. Once you see it for what it is, you can begin to free yourself from its grip. The real question is, are you ready to confront the truth, no matter how painful it might be? Because behind their mask lies not just their reality, but yours, the reality of what you've endured, what you've learned, and who you can become when you finally step out of their shadow. The power of liberation, reclaiming yourself from the narcissist's grip. Now that we've uncovered the malignant narcissist's mask and the traps it sets for your mind and spirit, the next question is this: how do you break free? Truly free, not just physically distancing yourself from the narcissist, but reclaiming the parts of yourself they've tried to erode. Liberation from a malignant narcissist isn't just about ending a relationship, it's about rediscovering your identity, your agency, and your inner strength. It's a journey of rebuilding yourself from the ground up, a process that's as philosophical as it is practical. Let's start with the most important realization: freedom begins in the mind. A malignant narcissist doesn't just manipulate your external world, they infiltrate your thoughts, your emotions, and your sense of self. Over time, you might find yourself adopting their narrative of who you are. Maybe you've been told you're too sensitive, too needy, or too difficult. Maybe you've started to believe you're incapable of functioning without their guidance or approval. But here's the truth: their narrative is a lie. It's a projection of their own insecurities, designed to keep you small, dependent, and controllable. The first step in liberation is rejecting their version of you. Ask yourself, who were you before the narcissist entered your life? What parts of yourself have you silenced or hidden to accommodate their demands? Rediscovering these parts of yourself is an act of rebellion, a way of reclaiming your identity. It might feel uncomfortable at first, like stepping into sunlight after being in the dark for too long, but it's in this discomfort that growth begins. The second step is setting boundaries, a word that's often misunderstood. Boundaries aren't about controlling others, they're about protecting yourself. They're a declaration of what you will and will not accept in your life. For someone who's been under a narcissist's influence, setting boundaries can feel terrifying. You've been conditioned to believe that standing up for yourself will lead to punishment, rejection, or abandonment, and in the short term it might. A malignant narcissist will push back against your boundaries because they see them as a threat to their control. But here's the deeper truth: boundaries aren't about them, they're about you. When you set a boundary, you're not just saying no to the narcissist, you're saying yes to yourself. You're affirming your right to exist on your own terms, to prioritize your needs, and to protect your peace. This isn't just an act of self-preservation, it's an act of self-love. And self-love is the one thing a malignant narcissist can never take from you unless you give it away. But liberation doesn't end with boundaries. It also requires healing. Escaping a narcissist's grip often leaves behind wounds, self-doubt, fear, and a distorted sense of reality. Healing these wounds isn't about forgetting what happened, it's about learning from it. It's about turning your pain into wisdom, your scars into strength. Ask yourself, what has this experience taught you about yourself, about others, and about the kind of life you want to build? How can you use these lessons to move forward, stronger and wiser than before? Finally, liberation means embracing the unknown. Leaving behind a malignant narcissist often feels like stepping into uncertainty. You might wonder, what will life look like without them? Will I be okay on my own? These questions are natural, but they're also a sign of growth. They indicate that you're no longer living under someone else's control, you're reclaiming the power to shape your own future. So here's the ultimate question: are you ready to choose yourself? To walk away from the illusion, the manipulation, and the pain, and step into a life that's truly your own. Liberation isn't easy, it requires courage, resilience, and a deep commitment to your own well-being. But it's also the most profound act of self-respect you can ever make. The narcissist may have tried to take your power, but they can never take your spirit. That belongs to you and only you. The triumph of self-discovery, rising beyond the narcissist's shadow. Freedom from a malignant narcissist is not just about escape, it's about transformation. When you've endured their manipulation, control, and emotional sabotage, you're left with a choice: to remain in the shadow of what they've done, or to rise above it and reclaim your life. The final stage of this journey is self-discovery, not just rediscovering who you were before the narcissist, but discovering a new, more resilient version of yourself shaped by the lessons you've learned. One of the most profound realizations in this process is understanding that the narcissist's behavior was never about you. Their cruelty, lies, and manipulation were a reflection of their own inner chaos, not your worth. This is easier said than internalized after all, They worked hard to convince you otherwise. But once you separate their actions from your identity, you begin to see the truth. You are not defined by their treatment of you. You are defined by how you choose to move forward. Ask yourself, who am I without their voice in my head? Who am I when I stop internalizing their criticisms and start listening to my own? This question is the cornerstone of self-discovery. By silencing the echoes of their control, you make space for your own thoughts, dreams, and values to take root. It's like clearing a garden choked with weeds. What grows next is entirely up to you. Healing also involves forgiveness, but not in the way many people think. Forgiveness doesn't mean excusing their behavior or allowing them back into your life. It means releasing the hold they have on your emotions. When you forgive, you let go of the resentment and anger that tie you to them. This isn't for their benefit, it's for yours. Holding on to anger only keeps you tethered to their influence. Forgiveness is how you free yourself fully, emotionally and spiritually. Finally, self-discovery is about rebuilding trust not just in others, but in yourself. The narcissist may have made you doubt your instincts, but those instincts are still there, waiting for you to trust them again. Moving forward means learning to listen to yourself, to honor your boundaries, and to believe in your ability to navigate life on your own terms. So, here's the last and perhaps most important question: what will you do with your freedom? The narcissist may have tried to break you, but they didn't succeed. You're still here, still standing, and now you have a blank canvas in front of you. Who will you become? That's a story only you can write, and it begins today.